Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. We would like to welcome all guests who are tuning in or listening live through our Facebook page or YouTube library. Welcome to Knowledge Sharing Session in conjunction with the UTM Library Research Week 2022. It is held from 3rd October until 9 November. I am Miss Radia and I will be your moderator for today. Before we get started, allow me to introduce the speaker. I'm pretty sure that most of you are familiar with the prominent figure, Professor Dato Insinyur Dr. Bakar Jaafar. He is a research fellow and founding director of UTM Ocean Thermal Energy Center, OTEC, and currently is a professor at Perdana Center, UTM Razak Faculty of Technology and Informatics since 2013. He was the former chairman of Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Corporation (MDTC) from 2019 until May 2022. Currently, he is a leading proponent in Malaysia in the promotion and development of renewable energy projects, including that of the ocean thermal energy, as well as in the generation and production of green hydrogen. Prior to that, he has served the government of Malaysia in various capacities since 1973, and his career included stints as factories and machinery inspector from 1973 until 74. He also was a staff engineer of the USPA Industrial Environmental Research Laboratory, principal assistant director in Water Quality Environment Division at the Ministry of Science, Technology and Environment since 1976 until 1984, as well as Economic Planning Unit in the Prime Minister's Department. After his optional retirement, he continued to serve the government of Malaysia as the elected member of UNCLOS Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf from 1997 until 2012. Dato holds a bachelor degree, honours in mechanical engineering from the University of Newcastle, Australia. And then he pursued his master degree in environmental science from Miami University, Ohio. And he obtained his PhD in marine geography from University of Hawaii in 1984. Okay, for today's sharing, it is entitled OTEC, Renewable Energy for Sustainable Development. To all audience, if you have any questions, feel free to chat or comment and it will be addressed at the end of the session. Therefore, without further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Dato Insinyur Dr. Bakar Jaafar to deliver the presentation. Please welcome Dato. The floor is yours.
Okay. Terima kasih Puan Sharifah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera. Good afternoon. First of all, I wish to thank the organizers, UTM Library. I understand this is the third speech during the week of the Research Weeks, during the period 3rd October to 9th November. So I've offered to talk on the subject, ocean thermal energy conversion. It is source of renewable energy for sustainable development. So this cover page of my slide, and here I would like to have a quick snap of the subject that I want to talk about this afternoon. First, the subject renewable. Renewable is the source of energy for the production of green hydrogen. The tropics ocean thermal energy is the most abundant source of renewable energy, much more than hydroelectric, solar, photovoltaics, biomass, and not that much of wind, wave, current, and tide. Since there are multiple streams of revenues that could be generated from the application of ocean thermal energy conversion technology, the cost of electricity generated is very competitive. Thus, the cost of green hydrogen production, 80% of it is the power cost. Even at the current high price of green hydrogen, it could be easily demonstrated that hydrogen fuel cell powered vehicles are already competitive and more competitive than the existing internal combustion engine vehicles, including those even run on subsidized fossil fuels. Furthermore, the availability of green hydrogen would also help in the production of green hydrocarbons, including ethanol, methanol, and urea as fertilizer. From the utilization of carbon dioxide or CO2 captured and the deep water production of oil and gas. There are other applications and uses of green hydrogen, such as in fuel cells for distributed power systems, peak power shaving in national grid, and so on and so forth. In short, the forthcoming progress in hydrogen economy would be in the right step towards net zero emission targets. Furthermore, ocean thermal energy conversion, if not among, I must say, is the only one fast emerging, most impactful technology that could easily fulfill all the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations. Now, before I go through the rest of my slides, I would like to pose for the time being as a background, a preamble of this subject. I would like to share with you this, what they call it, the Sustainability Index of Malaysia, and how does Malaysia stand uh, against the various parameters, performance to achieve the sustainability. And one of the measures of to achieve the sustainability is to see to what extent that Malaysia has managed to utilize its renewable energy uh, resources. Now, the second part of the background, I would like to take this opportunity to pose two basic questions on energy. So, then the rest will talk. We covered energy, the primary and secondary sources, renewable and non-renewable, and I would argue the ocean thermal energy, the second part of my presentation, the most competitive source of renewable energy in the tropics. Then I will illustrate the economics of green hydrogen and what is the prospect in the particular transport sector. Another step toward the net zero emission target is utilization of the carbon dioxide, and this can be used to combine with the green hydrogen to produce green hydrocarbon. And I conclude my presentation by sharing two quotations by famous personalities. All right, this is the index that I was referring to earlier. If you were to go to this SSF index, you will find how Malaysia is measured in terms of its performance. You notice Malaysia doesn't perform very well in terms of course, income distribution. That's our socio-economic measure. That means we are far from how our income is distributed. You know, that's one challenge that we've been trying to overcome these years. The second one thing of the subject I will talk this afternoon is renewable energy. You see the red graphs. That should be that represent the world average. So that means the Malaysian line is in green, right? So you can see the very we didn't score very high in terms of renewable energy, greenhouse gases, energy saving, energy use and consumption, all about energy. So we don't manage our energy very well, right? And as bad as we do not quite manage our income distribution very well. So that really is the subject I want to draw your attention, the importance of Malaysia to explore and produce our energy from this renewable source of energy, such thing as ocean thermal energy. Okay, the two, as a preamble, the two questions that I would like to pose to all of you, and I've been raising these questions since 1975. I must admit that no one could answer these two questions in one breath. Eventually, they will get the answers from my talk, but if you have yet to respond to the question posed by Puan Sharifah, and you should jot down what are you're thinking, how many primary sources of energy and what are they, and perhaps at the end of my presentation we can discuss a bit more. This is a basic knowledge. I would say this is a knowledge sharing session, run by UTM Library, which is very good. I must say, commendable effort. So congratulations to UTM Library. This is very good. The library is not only where you put all the books together. That's it. Repository of books. No, the library is really to share the knowledge already been captured and discovered. So this I must commend the leadership of UTM Library. Congratulations. So I'm very proud and very happy, that UTM Library is doing this. Okay, that concludes what I want to say on the background. Now we go to the substance of what my talk this afternoon. Okay, you should be able to figure out this illustration image. The size of the circle reflects how much energy coming from its source. So the bulk of energy usually come from the sun, right? The bulk of energy coming from the sun. That's the primary one energy. That's the first primary source of energy. And then, of course, by nature, the energy from the sun goes through the atmosphere that become the wind, right? Then it goes through the atmosphere, through water particles, become the rain, and then we get the hydroelectric, and then the energy hits the surface of the ocean, become the waves, and then it goes through the water column that become the ocean currents, and then on the surface we have the microalgae, right? So a lot of trees, plants that will become biomass. And then there's another phenomenon, like such thing as ocean thermal energy, simply the amount of energy from the sun that is stored in the upper layer of our ocean, especially in the tropics. So that's ocean thermal energy. There are three other renewable primary sources of energy. The second one is geothermal. This is simply the movements of the tectonic plates going under the continents. Tides is a phenomenon where it's to reflect the relative movements of the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. You get tidal movements. And the other fourth one in terms of renewable primary sources and its source of energy is salinity gradient. Salinity gradient, basically you have, especially at the estuary, you have fresh water on top, and then you have this salt water at the bottom. So the top they call it the sweet water, the bottom they call it bitter water, and there is a barrier in between. The moment you break this barrier, then you can get the power. So those are the four primary renewable sources of energy. And the other two simply nuclear based on uranium fuel. And then the other one we can categorize as number 6, fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, coal is essentially fossil fuel, but it appears in solid. Petroleum, fossil fuel appears in the form of liquid. And then we have natural gas in terms of gas. But there's another source of fossil fuel that we have yet to exploit. We call it methane hydrate. This is the frozen natural gas buried in the sediment at sea. So essentially we have at least 4 forms of fossil fuels. So that will answer my first question. 6 of them. All right. Okay. Now this is just to capture what I was saying earlier. There are 6 primary sources of energy, 4 renewable, and then 2 non-renewable. Okay. Then this is just to illustrate what I was saying earlier. Energy from the sun, it goes to the atmosphere, becomes wind, it goes to the clouds, becomes rain, and generate hydroelectric. It hits the surface of the ocean, becomes a wave. It goes through the water column, becomes current, and then the light only penetrates up to the certain depth, right? So the light goes through the water column, and that converted into heat. So that's why our waters in the tropics are very warm. Yeah, and at the bottom very cold. So ocean thermal energy essentially is to extract the heat from the upper layer of the ocean, and then we convert this heat into power. Right? If nobody takes up the power, then we'll convert the power into hydrogen. Right? And now next I will explain this phenomena, most people would many will answer when I say what are the primary sources of energy. Most of them will say solar and wind. Yeah, why wind? Because that's what the literature covered a lot. Because a lot of wind, but the wind is a phenomenon more in the temperate regions. There's not much wind in the tropics. I always tease a lot of my friends. I said, wind in the tropics is good enough for you and I to sit under coconut tree and that's it, right? Yeah, but not enough. Yeah, it's very small. Yeah? But in the tropics, not many people realize we have so much energy, right? In the upper layer along the equator. So you see the area in red, those are the places where we can extract the heat and convert this to power and hydrogen. So we are lucky. We are along the equator, so we have a lot of potential, especially in the deep waters of the state of Sabah and part of Sarawak. All right, so this is just to capture renewable energy at the center of transition to less carbon intensive. And then I won't go through this literature, but the last bullet, development production of green hydrogen for renewables are a crucial step toward achieving net zero emission targets as a response to our climate change issues. Okay, this will illustrate what I was saying earlier. The principle, very easy. You use working fluid, they call it ammonia, liquid ammonia in that yellow pipe. So we pump this liquid ammonia, then we expose the heat of the surface water through the heat exchanger. Sometimes they call it evaporator. The moment this ammonia exposed to the heat, it becomes gas. So we use the gas to turn the turbine and turn the generator, then we get the power. Just like our bicycle dynamo. Yeah, most people used to ride bicycle in rural areas. That's why we generate the power. Now, if nobody wants the power, we'll convert this power through water electrolysis into hydrogen fuel. Now, the trick here now, how to convert the ammonia gas back to liquid. That's we need to pump the cold water from the deep water. So, fortunately, we do have deep waters, and the temperature, the lowest temperature in our deep water is always 4 degrees Celsius throughout the world. Always. The temperature below the ice also 4 degrees. Temperature, the lowest temperature in any deep water is also 4 degrees. This number 4 is very significant number. Uh, so when we pump this cold water, then that cold water will cool down the gas, and the temperature leaving uh, the condenser 10 degrees Celsius. So then we keep pumping this liquid to continue to extract the heat, convert into electricity. Now, essentially, in short, we have two major products from OTEC, Ocean Thermal Energy Corporation. One, the power, and the other one, cold deep sea water, 10 degrees Celsius. Later on, I will explain, how to make full use of this cold deep sea water to produce a lot of high-value marine products and marine produce, which I will explain later. All right, and that also forms the basis why I've been saying that OTEC is the only fast emerging technology that could fulfill all the 17 SDGs. There's a subject today, renewable energy for sustainable development. All right, now next. Okay, then I've been posed the question when I briefed MIDA. They said, how does the OTEC compare to other sources of energy? So I plotted this so you can see the cost of generation of power in terms of waves, the highest of all. The next one is biomass, then solar PV, then tidal energy, then offshore wind, then OTEC. Then they have already exploited all of this except OTEC, right? Commercially. Yeah. And then, of course, another source of energy, very cost very low, salinity gradient, right? But we have yet to develop this technology. This is another subject that I've been promoting. I wish UTM creates a center on salinity gradient, just like OTEC, right? So that should be, we should encourage our UTM management and find a champion among us to create this another center for salinity gradient. Okay, to explain this, I have created a table, and that explain why OTEC is so competitive, although the cost is very high, but in terms of energy cost, 13 cents, right, per unit of power, compared to wave 56, tidal 26, 28, offshore wind 17, and then biomass 29 cents US. But the only technology that as competitive to salinity gradient is to OTEC is salinity gradient. But this technology has yet to be developed. Okay. This is actual data drawn from the island of Kojima in Okinawa. So remember I was saying earlier, there are two products of technology, OTEC. One is power, second is the utilization of the cold deep sea water at 10 degrees. So they use this cold deep sea water, to come up with this product, high value produce, prawns, yeah. And then the next one is seaweed. And the seaweed, you notice the value there. This is umibudo, very expensive, $140 US per kilo. So it's very nice. It bites like caviar. It tastes like fresh squid. There you are. And then, of course, the off spec of this seaweed is cosmetics. So cosmetics is very big. You know. Then there are other applications of the deep sea water, and I think one of them is drinking water and also the production of mineral water. There's one application of cold deep sea water not yet mentioned, not yet captured here, that we should try to do it in Malaysia or other places also, is to use the cold deep sea water for cooling of data centers. Yeah, yeah, servers. So they use a lot of energy. So there's another application of this. There's a high potential. Right. So all data centers people, you have to listen to me on this one. Okay, so next. Okay, those are another illustration. I put there deep sea water cooling of data centers. And then you use temperate uh, this we use the cold deep water, the temperature is 10 degrees, right? Our soil in the tropics 33 degrees. So you want to grow temperate crops like tomatoes, strawberries, and all this. You pass through the cold water into a topsoil, the temperature of the soil will drop to 18 degrees. And that's why our farmers go up to Cameron Highlands, right? Yeah. So this is a trick. Yeah, trick of temperate crops, growing of temperate crops, high value. And that's the one I was saying here to produce umibudo. And it's very interesting. The next picture to umibudo is the raising of fugu fish. Fugu fish raised in the deep sea water, no longer poisonous. Then make it more affordable. And then the science of it very simple. Somehow or other, we discovered that in deep waters, there's total absence of any bacteria or any virus. So no bacteria, no virus, then our friend fugu fish don't have to release their poison to fight them out. So that explains why fugu fish is no longer poisonous. Then of course the other one, the picture to the right, next to the prawns, the capture fisheries. Capture fisheries just release the very rich deep sea water to the surface. That promotes the growth of the phytoplankton, because very rich waters. Then the phytoplankton will attract zooplankton. Zooplankton will attract small fish. Small fish will attract big fish. Big fish will attract bigger fish. So instead of chasing this fish from the ocean, we just attract. So this is very good capture fisheries. And I was saying earlier, the off-spec or the seaweed can produce health and cosmetics. Here, I take the opportunity to show you the Miss Earth Japan 2012, right? And she's been using this product. Okay, now the next revenue stream from OTEC is production of mineral water. This high value mineral water, and this mineral water, I've got few PhD students who have worked on this, and others also, can help reduce our obesity, cholesterol, and blood pressure. So good news for Malaysians. We have to produce them, but it's already available in Hawaii. The two brands in Hawaii, Kona Deep and Mohalo, and there are a lot of brands in Japan. But the one famous brand, my favorite, from Taiwan. The brand name is Yes. Yeah, YES. And the taste of this mineral water, just like you take fresh coconut, huh? Beautiful, but very expensive. But you know, you pay a lot for coconut anyway. So, okay, then before you produce mineral water, you can extract lithium, right? Lithium, which is very now highly metal for our batteries, huh? Right? Now, as I was saying earlier, if you know takers for the hydrogen power, you convert into hydrogen. So we should be rolling a lot of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles on the road. And I will argue later on that hydrogen fuel cell cars now already competitive. Yeah, I will illustrate after, and more than electric car, also our petrol cars. Yeah, that's the new. We should embark into the big hydrogen fuel cell cars. And then the other extreme of my right, now with hydrogen, we can even promote a standalone power system of the grid. Then there are many places in Malaysia, remote, right? No power. You just supply them tanks of hydrogen, install a few cells there, you get the power, independent from the grid. Yeah, right. And then it can stand by itself. And you can generate hydrogen also through the solar energy. And there are many small remote places can do that. So we are independent. This is the development that we should pursue, right? Okay. Those are why I say ocean thermal energy is very competitive. There are so many streams of revenues. Okay, this is just one page to tell you, and this data I managed to capture them, what has been discovered and also generated in on the island of Kumishima in Japan, right? So in terms of income, really gone up so much. They were in Kumijima, they were poor farmers, they were growing pineapple and sugar. Now they are very rich, right? And then in terms of climate change, for 1 megawatt of OTEC you generate, you can offset 8,000 tons of CO2. So you can go through one by one. And this, nobody has challenged me, why OTEC cannot fulfill all the 17 systems. I don't think you can find any other emerging technologies that could fulfill all that. Yeah. But then, that capture fisheries, when you release cold deep water, remember, of the plants, condensers, you release to the top, that will promote the growth of phytoplanktons. And now the problem is that our ocean actually very poor, like desert, not much nutrients. But you release this, that will promote the growth of planktons, and that will promote the growth of zooplankton. Zooplankton will be eaten up by small fish. That sounds familiar, huh? And that will attract the biggest fish also, right? So, okay, so if you have time, you can go through the one by one, but this is just to capture what I was saying earlier. Right. This is just to illustrate to you, as I was saying, the economics of green hydrogen. 80% of the cost of production of hydrogen through water electrolysis is electricity. If you can really get good source of electricity, you can produce green hydrogen, right? So, and then another thing, the coal electricity generated by OTEC is so competitive because they can get a lot more revenues from the application of technology. So they can beat anybody else in town for that. Huh? And then the third bullet is that the best prospect for taking up green hydrogen produce would rest with the transport sector, because in Malaysia, 40% of energy is in transport, right? Not so much housing, I think. Although our econ is really serious, energy consumer. So, but number one sector to tackle is transport. Then this case, I want to say about $6 US per kilo, right? Uh, then this is already competitive to run hydrogen fuel cell cars, right? And this Azmi, he's an ex-Proton, good researcher. So he did for me this quick analysis. So hydrogen fuel cell, the Toyota Mirai, right? 16 cents per kilometer. The rest all very high except Proton Saga. But this Proton Saga run on RON 95, which is highly subsidized. Quite close, 14 cents. You remove the subsidy, the only car to buy is hydrogen fuel cell cars, right? And there are many other models of what hydrogen fuel cell cars that we need to promote. Of course, Toyota Mirai, the upper end, very expensive car. But there are other models like Honda, Clarity, Nixo, and others. Just like any same price you pay for petrol. But here, what matters to most people, what hits the pocket. So I don't see why these cars cannot roll down on our roads, right? Okay, this I'm using this proposal made by Naval Architects in UK just to see you what kind of investment required to generate green hydrogen. So I think the proposal here to make full use of drilling ships. When the price of oil drop, so one of drill ships unutilized. So he proposed to use drill ship to put the OTEC plant on top. So that's the exercise. And for this, the cost is almost $500 million US, right? The operating on 14 million. So the number in total is almost 600 million US. So times 4, 2.5 billion. What is 2.4 billion? You burn this money already in Malaysia, so much money. So, all right, so to conclude here, the levelized cost of electricity, 60 cents. Remember, in my slide, I was saying 13 cents. But this is based on their project, right? Different project. Okay, even at 16 cents, right, for then the cost per kilogram hydrogen is $8. Just now I was saying $6 here on the upper end. So you put these $8 into Toyota Mirai. Mirai can run 245 kilometers. So per kilometer only 15 cents. How much you pay? How much you claim in Malaysia? 17 cents, right? Yes, much higher. This 15 cents only. So this one should stick in our brain. Cost of a hydrogen car only 50 cents per kilometer. Right. All right. Then there's another step toward the net zero targets. Okay, to capture CO2. But what the oil and gas people do, they capture CO2, they bury the CO2 into the ground. So just wasting of effort. Why can't you convert this CO2 into green hydrocarbons, including urea, a fertilizer? Now because the Russian Ukraine war, we short of fertilizers. Right? So this is very good sort of fertilizer. First, you offset your CO2. Second, you generate new product, green urea, which is good for agriculture. So that's another step toward net zero targets. So this is the area we discovered of Sabah and Sarawak. The total potential of the power there, 26,000 megawatt, which is about the same size capacity of installed capacity in Malaysia now. So it's huge, right? So if you were to convert power into solid state hydrogen, so there's how many million tons there, right? Then you convert into solid state hydrogen, so $486 trillion the value. Trillion. What is our GDP? Nothing, right? Compared to this. So we can be rich country. Exactly. Now we go for G15. We should promote this. Then the new government will ensure will explore and invest in this technology. So then we become, then from OPEC, move to OTEC. From OPEC to OTEC. Yes. Okay. Then this is another way of starting up, the return investment 11 years, but these numbers can be improved because I didn't include other revenue, right? So, and then these good opportunities, in our deep waters, there are already existing production of oil and gas. So we just capture CO2 there, put OTEC plants nearby, we convert all this CO2 captured into green ethanol, methanol, and also urea, right? Yeah. And this is just a scheme. You from OTEC, you through electrolysis, you generate hydrogen. Then you combine hydrogen with CO2, you generate ethanol there, methanol, and that can be used all what we are using now anyway. Yeah, yeah. So, and this northern you can also extract CO2 from atmosphere. You can convert this also, right? All right. Okay, this is just to illustrate this our target. By 2030, you must reduce our CO2, right? And that I've done the quick calculation, how much investment required to offset this. So if you were to invest in 11,000 gigawatt, or 11,000 megawatt, or almost 12,000 megawatt, or 12 gigawatt, right? And we only utilize 50% of our total potential, right? We already meet our target, right? Of our reduction, expected reduction in CO2, without having to worry about other things, right? There's only one project fulfill our targets. Yeah, now we're doing all sort of things, still cannot. Difficult to get target. Here, very clear. Huh? Solid, clear. Okay, in conclusion, uh, I would say ocean thermal is not only the most abundant source of renewable energy in the tropics, but it is the best of all by having posted the lowest cost per unit energy generated and the highest power capacity developed per unit of investment. Perhaps it is the only one among 21 most powerful, impactful, and emerging technologies in the first half of this 21st century, right? That could fulfill all the 17 sustainable goals. And OTEC, a major source of green hydrogen that could be utilized in the production of green hydrocarbons by capturing CO2 emitted, especially from deep water production of oil and gas. And let me also share with you what the Sheikh Yaqi Yamani, the former Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, said in 1974. He said this in 1974. What does he say? The Stone Age did not end for the lack of stone, and the old age will end long before the world runs out of oil. Interesting, huh? This is said by the oil minister himself. And the same citation, statement made by the former energy advisor to President Obama. There's Dr. Stephen Chu, Nobel Prize winner in physics. And more or less he said the same thing. The Stone Age did not end because we ran out of stones. The stone is still there, but we transition better solutions. You know why he said this? Remember, from the Stone Age, we found bronze. We gone through Bronze Age. So bronze better than stone, but we still have plenty of stone, right? Then we move from bronze to steel because we found steel better than bronze. Then after that, we move to all kind of metals, including aluminum nowadays. After that, we move what? From lately, what is that? Digital knowledge economy. The knowledge economy. We are now in the knowledge economy stage. That's what we are now. That's what we're doing. I'm very proud of UTM Library for having organized this knowledge sharing. We are in the knowledge economy, digital. So I think that's the end of my presentation. Oh, before I do that, This very good article I came across, released by Professor Ibrahim Dinser from Canada. And what it says here, hydrogen is the most dominant energy carrier in 21st century. Right now we are beginning of the century, right? 2021. We still hydrogen not yet prominent, but by end of the century, hydrogen going to be dominant. And you notice that this interesting graph. You say by 2070 there'll be no biomass, there'll be no coal. That's not true, right? Because biomass will still be there, coal will still be there, but simply biomass not going to be used directly. Biomass will be converted into alcohol. But they call it biofuels. And coal will be converted to hydrogen, which now they're burning coal directly. No, you just, this old technology, inject the steam to the ground where the coal is deposited, just release the hydrogen. That would be the technology. That would be another vision. The electricity will be there, natural gas will still be there. You know what I mean? What else? District cooling. It's not this projection is very temperate, bias. You should put there not district heat, but also district cooling, air conditioning. But the pattern will be the same, similar, right? All right. Terima kasih. That's the end of my presentation. Yes, yes. Yeah. Uh, uh, we do that before we close at 3, right? But let's tackle what are the questions we received from the audience. Yeah. Any question from the audience? Okay. Okay. The answer is very good. I cannot say, I cannot find better words than very good. But the question is, now we must get the interested investors to put their money. We are waiting for investors. That's all. We are ready with all the numbers, with all that. We are ready to go roll. Right? If any investors in town now don't know what to do with their money, put their money in OTEC. I can ensure you this is the future to look forward to. Yeah. 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 Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I'm happy you raised this question. Actually, I must give credit to our former Vice Chancellor, Dato Sri Dr. Ezanee Ujang. He knew that I've been working on this subject for a long time. So he interviewed me when I was in student. He asked me, Bakar, can you join UTM? That's what happened. So when I joined UTM, I was only visiting professor. Then the time we decided to establish the UTM OTEC Center, the person that really working on it to get it through, none other than the first director UTM OTEC, Professor Dr. Muhammad Noor. Yeah, he's the first director. Yeah, so we established the center on 3rd January 2013. At that time, I was only visiting professor. So after a while, most student pressure on me. They say, Dato, you become a full-time professor because you can help us, to go for research money, research grants. If you are visiting, you cannot help us and supervise the students. So I'm very happy on that. So, and we've been promoting this since I've been here. I must say, I talked to over 100 companies over the years, right? And none of them look at the numbers and they just walk away, right? So now I must acknowledge the fact that the recent announcement by the Prime Minister, they introduced the new energy policy, right, on the 19th September, right? And for the first time, the subject OTEC mentioned in the policy. And not only OTEC subject, also UTM, Ocean Thermal Energy Center, also mentioned in the policy. So we've been recognized. So it is now we have to push harder. I hope we can get the support from the whole UTM management, to fulfill this national policy.
Because I think in June or maybe in UTM or Tech and in University of Malaysia, you have signed MOU, right?
Yeah,
MOA, yes. So, and you mentioned the Malaysian model will be established as the final project output. So, what is the Malaysian model?
okay. Actually, the technology is already implemented, right? So what we managed to, after hard work together with Prof. Matno and the current director, Dr. Satya.
Satya.
So we managed to have secured this very prestigious grant. We call it SATREPS, Science and Technology
SATREPS.
Research Partnership for Sustainable Development. It's a subject I will talk today, right? And we tried 3 times, failed. We got it at last. So we've been for many years. I personally have been working on this since 2012. That's the day I met our partner now, Professor Ikigami. He came to Malacca to give a talk on OTEC. So I've been working with him since 2012. And we got the grant, right?
Okay.
2019. So it's hard work, huh?
Yeah.
For 7 years. Failed 3 times.
It's okay.
So we keep pursuing. And this Malaysian model actually a combination, it's a hybrid of 2 systems. One is a closed system, another one open system. So the open system has been proven run very well in India since 1995. They produce the open system to generate cold water, drinking water from the sea, right? Although VC also has this another technology, but this is not closed, open system. And in Kumijima, Japan, Saga University has come up with a closed system. So what we do now, put the 2 together in Malaysia. And they call it the Malaysian model. 2 systems. Then we're also working with other technologies. One of the questions posed to me, Dato, why can't we have a type of Peninsular Malaysia? Because we're using ammonia. See, ammonia is they require very deep waters to get that temperature differential. That's a limitation of ammonia. But ammonia is the best we can treat. So now, one of those projects under SATREPS OTEC now, funded by Ministry of Higher Education. One project, one of the 10 projects led by Professor Dr. Noor Aswadi from MG. So he's working on the nano working fluids. So hopefully the nano fluid, we don't have to go to deep waters. So I've been asking this question. What is the temperature differential that eventually you can work on? So we are working hard so that we can extract the heat of the shallow waters around Peninsula. That will be the day. That will be characterized what we call it Malaysian model. Not work anywhere in the world except in Malaysia in PD. Why PD? Because UTM doesn't have site land along the coast. Then UPM has. And I've known this marine, the early days they call it the Marine Research Center. I've known this place since 1985. So now they just renamed Institute of Aquas, they call it. Okay, I hope I answered your question.
All right, thank you, Dato. I think we have one more question from the audience. Okay, from Emeka Nelson. Prof, do you think that OTEC projection of 1800 megawatt in Malaysia will be attainable by that time? She has 2 questions. Can OTEC be generated from all oceans? in the tropics.
Yeah, on the second part, I could plot here. Can
Can
OTEC
OTEC
be
be
generated?
generated from all oceans in the tropics?
Yeah. Okay. The first question is all the function of investment. You know, if people want to invest, just like oil and gas, right? Oil and gas is there in the ground. So you can the amount more money you put, more investment you put in,
More return you
more
get.
return you can get.
Yeah.
So as simple as that. So attainable or not attainable is whether we all willing to put our investment instead of putting in the genting.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what you can auto all ocean. And in fact, most of the topic, oh, right?
Mhm.
That's why just now there's a statement. Now the transition from OPEC to OTEC. You know who says that? One former professor from Carnegie Mellon University. He said that in 1975, right? How long ago? So yes, we are lucky in the tropics. We have the heat, but the temperate region, the rest of the world, do not have. So we should really work together on this. There are many potential sites along the equator, right? In the Caribbean, West Africa, in the Indian
Yeah.
Ocean, in the Western Pacific, in the Eastern Pacific, all along all the good sites. Yeah.
Okay. See.
Right.
All right. So okay, I think we don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Would you like to go through because yeah, the question was asked, and I hope that all the audience who listen can get the answer, the correct answer from the question.
Okay.
So maybe we can show the survey.
All right.
Okay, so from your questions, how many primary sources of energy? How many? And so yesterday I have made pre-survey, and it seems that from the 35 respondents, 34% answered 5, and only 28.6 answered 6, and while the rest are 8 and 11.
Yeah.
But from your presentation, it said that the total how many primary sources is 6, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Even those who answered 6 here,
Mhm.
they may not get content right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the
Yeah.
best
Only
way.
the
Yeah,
number is right, but not necessarily they got the right
the
answer.
right answer.
Okay.
So and then the next questions.
Yes. What are they?
So what are the sources of energy? So these are the answers from the respondent, and I think we have missed one.
Yes.
Yeah, we have oil, natural gases, uranium, solar, biomass. But okay, you say just now solar was the main, the bigger, and even wind and hydropower came from solar, right?
Yes.
And then the natural gas, and then biofuels also came from coal, geothermal. I think we have missed one because there are 6, but only 5 categories are mentioned here, and maybe Dato can answer the meeting.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. From the response here, this is standard response that I've been receiving all these years. Right. First, we got mixed up between primary and secondary.
Mm,
So that's one problem. Second, sometimes the classification of the fossil fuels.
yeah.
Fossil fuels that include oil, natural gas, coal. And another category of fossil fuel not mentioned here is they call it white coal, methane hydrate. These are the frozen natural gas buried in the sediment at sea. So not mentioned here.
See.
And then, in short, I can summarize that you you remove all the secondary sources of energy here. Just focus on the primary. Only 5 primary sources are mentioned here. So from the top, I can say the first category is fossil fuels. That will include oil, natural gas, and coal. And then the second category, nuclear, is on uranium fuels. Third is solar.
Solar.
Biomass and wind is secondary. Hydropower is secondary. Natural gas and coal are part and fossil fuels. Biofuels is arising from the conversion of biomass into biofuels. So that's secondary. Okay. The fifth one here is the geothermal.
Geothermal.
That's a primary. Geothermal energy from the heat inside the earth. Of course, the heat from the inside the earth will come up and then breaks through the oceanic plates. That's what happened. And then the oceanic plates, when they're broken up, that push the energy from the heat, the energy from the center of the earth will push the oceanic plates, and the ocean plate now forced to go under the continent, and that caused the volcanoes. That's the sources of geothermal energy. So the last two answers is the same, geothermal, in short. So one is Sanity Gradient. Sanity Gradient essentially where the situation we have, they call it, according to Surah Ar-Rahman, verses 19-20, at we have sweet water. There's a fact because in translation, sweet water.
Fresh
And then the bottom, we have, they call it bitter water. There's a very salty water.
Yeah.
And these two bodies of water do not mix. There's a barrier in between. That's what verse 20 says, Surah Ar-Rahman, right?
Yeah, maybe I should go back and check.
Yeah, but go back, check your Surah Ar-Rahman 55, verses 19 and 20. Now, if you break this barrier, then you can get the power.
That is the second.
That's they call it gradient. So just overcome the gradient. And actually, the best example of this phenomenon, you can you go for YouTube, look for one YouTube session shared by the former president of the US, Barack Obama. There were two panelists there. One, Jack Ma from Alibaba, and this another one, a lady who invented saltwater lanterns. Ayesha, her name, you knew.
Saltwater lantern.
Saltwater lantern is based on this phenomenon. But the problem today, you cannot see the lanterns marketed all over the world because she still have one fundamental problem. The cathode that you use in the lantern doesn't last long. You know, it will last like almost 100 hours. So for our batteries, like our car battery, you know, at least what, 3,000 hours? At least.
More. At least.
Yeah, at least 3,000 hours. So if you want to see something commercialized, you have to really lengthen the life of this cathode. And that's where we require more research R&D. And this way, as I said earlier, I've been encouraging my colleagues, young colleagues, to propose to UTM, set up UTM Center for Sanity Gradient. There will be another center that will promote renewable energy.
Renewable energy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Dato. I think, finally, we have come to the end of the sessions. So I would like to thank you, Dato, for the informative and interesting series and the audience for the active participation. Hopefully, the sharing session can be beneficial to everyone. Okay, as I mentioned before, during the research week, there are many programs and activities organized by UTM Library. Therefore, I would like to invite everyone to Library Engagement Library Roadshow at MJIT that will be held tomorrow from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. at MJIT Library. Yeah, okay. So there'll be some activities there, faculty, and so I hope that everyone can come and support the library program. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for your time and attention, and hopefully to meet everyone in our next program. Thank you, Dato. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.